When you make $100 and you go out and you spend all this money at Sweetgreens or Lululemon or Apple, these companies then make money. And when they make money, they have the ability to pay somebody's salary, and they have the ability to open a new store, and they have the ability to invest in new products. If you don't spend your money at these places, they don't have the ability to make payroll. They don't have the ability to hire more employees. And so when our economy runs on spending like this, the more money people spend, the more money businesses make, the more jobs that there are, and the more the economy grows. Well, what has happened over the last number of years was so much money was created. I read on NASDAQ's website just the other day that the total money printing between 2020 and 2021 was right around $13 trillion. That includes the COVID stimulus, that includes things like the infrastructure programs, and that includes all the other quantitative easing by the Federal Reserve Bank. That was about $13 trillion of money printing that happened, of new money creation that entered our economic system. That was the most amount of money we have seen enter our economic system in such a short period of time ever. It made the money printing after 2008 look like a drop in the bucket. Back in the 2008 crash, when we were talking about almost $1 trillion stimulus plan, people were losing their minds because of how significant $1 trillion of quantitative easing and stimulus would be. Now we're talking about multi-trillion dollars worth of economic stimulus. So just to kind of put it in perspective, it was a huge amount of money that was printed in 2020, 2021. So now all this money was created and it entered our economy. Now it went into people's hands in the form of stimulus checks and unemployment checks and some loans, which people spent at businesses, and then it also went into the hands of businesses and corporations. Now again, businesses and corporations are also consumers. They spend money too. And so now when you have all this money out there, naturally, you're going to see a boost in the economy. We saw the economy boom in 2020 and 2021, even though we were coming out of the worst recession since supposedly the Great Depression. But no one really felt any sort of economic pain. So now all this money came into the economic system. The economy boomed. Businesses had so much money that they were expanding like crazy. We saw new offices being built, new virtual offices being built, new employees being hired, raises being given, bonuses being given, new departments being created, and people going out and spending money. Now, of course, the prices of things were rising, but it never really bothered people because people had more money, whether it was stimulus checks, unemployment checks, raises, or new jobs, or whatever it might be. It didn't really affect people. Now, of course, some people were, but on the general level, people still had the ability to spend more. And then in 2022, the party started to stop because in 2022, that was when we started to see the money printing go away and we started to see interest rates start to rise. The first interest rate hike started in 2022. And that was when we started to see that change. Now, it wasn't a very drastic change in the beginning, but that was when we started to see that change, where now the Federal Reserve Bank said we need to cool down demand. Now we are here in 2023, and the Federal Reserve Bank is very serious on trying to cool down this demand, which means they want demand for items to cool down, that way we can cool down inflation. Now let's think about what that means. If you reduce the demand for people to buy a home, that means you're going to have less people out there wanting to buy a home. Now, if you go from 40 offers to buy a home to 2 offers, that means you might not be able to sell your home for above asking like you might have thought. Maybe you might even have to eventually cut the listing price if you don't get enough offers in the first 30 days. And so if we see demand fall for items, now obviously that could impact the housing market in certain ways, but that would impact many different businesses. Because just think about it this way. If Chipotle is not seeing people go into its stores anymore, because the demand for Chipotle has gone down, what does that mean? That means they might not open another store, which means they might not hire more store people because, well, they're not opening more stores. Maybe that means they need to get rid of some of their research people because they're not going to be creating new products and new lines of things yet because they don't have the revenue to do so. And when you start to see that across the broader economy, that's going to have bigger impacts, because if businesses see less demand, they're going to have to do something to manage the profit margins, because businesses want to maintain a certain level of profit. And so now if demand falls, that means revenues fall. So if businesses see the revenues fall, they're going to have to do something, because if revenues fall but their costs staying the same, that means their profits shrink. But that's not what we're seeing happen. We're not seeing revenues fall with profits or with operating costs staying the same. We're seeing operating costs rising. Now, of course, inflation impacts everybody, including businesses, which means businesses have to pay more money to get their things and to pay for the labor, which means if demand's falling, revenue's falling. Well, costs are also rising. Not to mention the fact that in 2020 and 2021, we saw the largest boom in corporate debt ever. Corporations used the 2020 and 2021 low interest rates to load up on debt. And why wouldn't you? These were the lowest interest rates that we saw ever. And so corporations said, how about we use this as an opportunity to go out and borrow more money? Many corporations did that. Now, some corporations used this more money to invest in their business, to use this debt to go and create more income. That's what you would want to do with debt, right? It's like going out, borrowing money to buy a rental property. That's what most people would consider good debt. But then some corporations also did the opposite. They did what many might call bad debt. They went out and they borrowed money to make their shareholders richer. Think of it like going to the Gucci store, not having the money to buy a $3,000 handbag or wallet or whatever it might be. And then instead of saying, you know what, I can't afford it, you just put it on your 0% APR credit card because the interest rates are so low. Well, many corporations did something similar. They use it as an opportunity to load up on cheap debt and then use this money to do a stock buyback or a one-time special dividend, meaning corporations took out huge sums of money at low interest rates and then used this money to give it away to their owners, their shareholders, to make the shareholders richer, which is great in the short term. You feel like you're rich, you got the Gucci handbag or you got the money in your pocket, your stock price went up. But you're going into debt to fund something that is not income producing. If you enjoyed this short clip from my longer videos, here's another clip that I think you'll love. And while you're at it, if you're interested in learning more about how to start generating passive income, our team put together an amazing guide on how to start generating passive income for free. All you gotta do is click that button right over there. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep hustling.